Hi, welcome to this week's Flaunt Digital Industry Spotlight. This is episode 2, and today we're going to be talking about the Leeds United badge saga, DoubleClick Search update, Snapchat and voice search. So first up we're going to talk about the Leeds United badge. This has been covered in every single publication in the UK at least, probably Europe. Basically what happened was Leeds United just decided to drop a new badge design on the fans just mid-season, no warning, small consultation of 10,000 people or 1,000 people, I can't remember, but no one of note seemed to have got consulted, including journalists, etc., and people really close to the club. So this created all kinds of things that ties into digital marketing.
Yeah, I don't think there were any consultation that got made by anyone that knew anything about branding. I think they picked 1,000 people that were in a pub. It was so bad that Gaviscon sort of trolled them a little bit, took the branding, turned it into their colours, created an ad out of it. The ad's gone viral. So basically they capitalised on the back of a really bad design.
It looked like a man coughing.
Yeah, it's been compared to a white supremacy logo, hasn't it? So, I mean, it's not ideal, is it?
Well, who was it? Was it Lineker that coined it originally and compared it to heartburn or something like that?
Oh, right, I didn't realise.
It might have been Gary Lineker,
yeah. That's what they were writing up. They were writing up the back of his comment saying that it's bad enough that it gives me heartburn or something like that. So then Gaviscon obviously spun that round and were like, yes, there's something in.
Did well to get on it straight away. It's obviously pretty important in digital marketing, reactive advertising, getting on stuff quick.
It's very reactive.
Topics a lot.
I did wonder though, do you think there's going to be like any branding concerns or anything like that? Because they've pretty much taken the exact same branding as the Leeds logo, haven't they?
We're only using it though.
I think the fact that it's been pulled is probably a good sign. Leeds are not going to use it anymore. They're going back to the drawing board. But I think for the amount of press coverage that Gaviscon got out of it, worthwhile and pay your dues.
Yeah, I think they've completely pulled the ad now. I think quite a big bad rap for it.
I think they put a lot of money behind it though, because everybody seems to have picked it up.
Yeah, it's good you don't really get brands that do that sometimes. Like Gaviscon, never heard of them doing any reactive marketing at all ever, and then just suddenly jump on something.
Well, that shows it's the most mundane brand.
Yeah, exactly.
Gaviscon, indigestion relief.
Yeah, it's good.
I mean, it's fun, isn't it? I mean, I don't think anybody's going to, off the back of this, go and buy a load of Gaviscon, have they? But I think it raises the profile of the brand a little bit.
Definitely.
And makes you sound a little bit fun in that space, obviously.
Downward kids.
Compared to whatever is the next best competitor.
Well, it's one of them things, isn't it, when you get heartburn, even if it's a year down the line, you might think, oh, that Gaviscon, they're for heartburn, they did that Leeds thing. Yeah. So the amount of people that will think of it way down the line is probably long-term benefit.
Well, more than anything, it's noise about the brand, isn't it? It's noise.
Yeah.
Noise off the back of someone else's mistake. Yeah. Cheap noise.
Cheap.
There was an article highlighted on Search Engine Land based on a survey where people are becoming less inhibited about how they're using voice search in public. So whereas probably 3 years ago someone talking to the phone would look a bit odd, you get that a lot these days. The rise in voice apps on phones is becoming more prominent, and things like Alexa, Google Home have obviously paved the way. I think from a search perspective, Google have been moving towards a more conversational algorithm in terms of capitalising on long form tail keywords. So I think that's something that's been happening for a while. I think Amazon releasing Alexa and the Echoes has accelerated everyone's sort of race to get there and brought it into the public eye. I think the adoption of that specific product, although Amazon is a massive platform, they could probably sell you a plastic bag with Amazon branding on it and people would buy it. I think that has really heated it up. You've got everybody trying to jump in there. Samsung have got Bixby. Google, obviously, voice search has been built in for a while. You've got Amazon with Alexa, then you've got, who else is
Siri?
Siri, obviously, yeah. Siri's probably the first one that got created.
Cortina as well.
Yeah, Microsoft even had a go at it. Are they still supporting that?
Well, it's on Windows, yeah, but Windows Phone's different now, isn't it? So it's just desktop-based voice search through Cortana. I'm not sure how much resource putting into developing that further, but Yeah, they did shove a lot into it, but I think that was mainly down to the phone. Yeah, I imagine they're still supporting it.
Yeah, I think in my opinion, we will see a similar trend in voice search to the mobile desktop traffic slide. So whereas maybe 8 years ago, I would say probably 90% desktop searches, now it's the other way around almost. What are we talking, like 85% mobile?
Yeah,
there or thereabouts.
I
think in another 5 years, voice will have been in the public eye for 7-8 years. I think we'll start to see that becoming a more regular. It may not be an everyday usage, 'cause I don't think you're ever going to really walk around and speak to your phone as opposed to typing on your phone, but things like in-home usage, things like that, I think are just going to explode. I mean, the amount of Echo devices that Amazon have sold kind of indicates the way it's going.
I think that's it. I think that's paved the way, and I think why we're seeing obviously an increase generally in people using search commands is because of like the Echo and the Home and stuff being launched. People feel more comfortable in a public situation to do it because people are aware of what the other people are doing, whereas you might just look like a crazy person walking down the street asking Cortina or whatever to do something. Like you say, a lot of people have an Echo or a Home in the house now, so they're used to hearing those day-to-day commands.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I think the stumbling block at the minute, and where a lot of people probably still don't use it to the extent that they will a few years down the line, is the frustration of the accuracy.
Yeah.
They are getting more accurate. They've got better over the last 3 years, I would say.
Yeah.
But still, I think people prefer to either perform a search through a browser or something like that if they're looking for something, rather than a voice command, because they know that they don't want to have to do it twice.
Yeah.
Although there's if you pin in a wrong character, that's equally as frustrating, but people are more adept to doing that than they are the voice function. It's learning the technology that's powering the commands as well in the search feature, because I mean, how many times have you give your phone a command or your Alexa and it's not going to respond? Yeah. It's frustrating, so you just resort back to what is the easiest thing, really. But as that technology develops, I think people will start seeing more of it, definitely.
That's definitely one of the keys. I think when performing a voice search saves you more time than typing it, that will become when it starts really rocketing. I think it's all about time. It takes you longer to type something into your phone as it would to speak to something, but the accuracy is the key there.
Yeah, I disagree on quite a bit. Yes. So I'll chuck my 2 pence.
Go on then.
I think voice search is obviously going to increase because it's starting from pretty much scratch, so it's got to go somewhere and it's only going to go up. But it depends what you're comparing it to. So if you're comparing it to text-based search, so if you think about applications of that, let's say you're in the workplace, for example, if you do a voice search, you're going to want to read the results. So this is different to an Echo, where it's going to be literally read back to you by a robot or whatever. Whereas if you're speaking into a computer or a phone, you're going to be reading it back on screen. You're not going to get it spoken back to you 9 times out of 10, I imagine. So application there, I think, is stunted quite a bit, because let's say you're doing some research at work, you're not going to want it dictated back to you, you're going to want to read it. So you've obviously got a screen in front of you anyway. If it's on the phone, it's got a keyboard on it. If it's not on a phone, you've got a keyboard in front of you anyway. But I think I do agree with a lot of your points around the hardware. I think software and hardware advances have come on tons and tons and tons in the last 5 years when it comes to noise cancelling microphones, and just speaker technology coming down in price. And then you've got someone like Amazon pushing these devices, selling them for dirt cheap. Distribution networks, obviously spot on. They're putting them to the top of the SERPs. You type in speaker and Amazon Echo's at the top, whether you like it or not. So that kind of stuff is really pushing it on people, and while people continue to use it, they're going to continue to invest in it. I know Amazon absolutely smashing the resource with Alexa. I don't know how many. There's something like 100,000 people working on it, which is insane. It's like bigger than a lot of tech companies as a whole. And Amazon really need to leverage that, because Amazon have got, if we're talking about search specifically with voice, Amazon have got a hold on that now. They've got the hardware. And they've got Google really by the kahunas, and they need to shut the weight around a bit there, because they've got everyone. Hardly anyone, I don't know what the stats are, but I mean, Alexa voice assistant usage must outweigh Google, Apple, Microsoft, and all the other players all put together by, I don't know, 10 times something daft. So Apple really needs to shut the weight around there. I know that I don't know what, again, stats wise, but
I think the key is that Amazon launched Echo 2 years ago. Although Siri came first on phones, like we've just said there, the premise of walking around and talking to your phone as opposed to typing it in 2 years ago weren't going to work. So the way in which Amazon's put it across by creating this device that makes it more comfortable, and you're in an environment where you're more comfortable naturally because you're in your home. I think the place where brands, businesses and marketers are going to have to be aware is the people's way of searching is going to change, because going back to the original point of people becoming less inhibited about how they search, it's going to change people's they're going to start searching for longer tail conversational based keywords, and I think you need to be aware of that so that you're getting that context in your content on your site.
I think there'll have to be some big updates just from a search perspective anyway, in like the search engine results. I don't know what's going to happen to PPC really.
How does it happens to ads?
So obviously at the minute you're using, most advertisers, 80% of the account will be like short tail and broad keywords that trigger longer tail queries. So what's going to happen to that is there going to be more of this automation that we're talking about, more like dynamic ads, like we've got DSAs at the minute. Is your full account going to be run on dynamic searches based on your website content? Picking up those terms, it could mean that your ads are more accurately targeted, or is it going to be the other way around? Is it going to be that there's more inaccuracy and more irrelevant ads because it's controlled at the minute? You through paid, you basically control the keyword that somebody searches. That's the easiest way to do it.
Going way long term, I think from an SEO and a PPC perspective, we could see them starting to align in terms of you create a valuable site with good content, good user experience, you get it right from a development point of view, you get your site speed right, you get your mobile site spot on, the content that you're putting out is good, it's relevant to what people are searching for, you tie that then back to your paid stuff, the better quality your site is and your content, Google will be able to interpret that and understand that, and I think that could potentially tie into quality score. So the higher quality your organic presence is and your site and the content and the user experience based on however many signals they dream up will then affect how present you are from a paid perspective. So it might not be about how you structure your account, it might be about how relevant your actual product and your content is. And
your user experience, I think that's a good point. And it's interesting you should mention like quality score as a metric. If you did shift to that, then there'd be no keywords to base a quality score on, so the whole system would end up changing. If that's the case, you probably wouldn't have one, you'd probably have an experience score or a UX score or something like that. But I imagine it would have other implications for it, put more emphasis on, like say, site speed and the content that's there, how well targeted that is. But we're almost halfway there if you think about it. The dynamic campaigns do sort of do that for you, but the inaccuracies that come along with that, you have to be so careful for that, and it's only really experienced advertisers that can use them properly. So I think we've got to be careful with that as well, but no doubt Google will launch some products down the line that caters for that.
Well, they're never going to get rid of PPC. I don't think that's going to be a scenario.
I think this article is a bit weird actually, just looking at the headline again, this search engine land one. It's talking about using voice search in public. Now, if we're on about public, we're ruling out echoes, obviously that's not a public thing, that's not a public device. So we're talking about phones here, aren't we?
Yeah.
And if you're dictating a voice into a phone, you're not getting dictated back to like you are the Amazon Echo, so you can sort of rule out that use case. And when you dictate it into a device, it's showing the results on screen. So in terms of PPC and Google Ads and what have you, all it's going to do is essentially take your voice command and transcribe that into text, and then show you the same ads that you'd see anyway.
Well, it is, but you wouldn't search in the same way, would you? If you're searching for something, you're trying to find the shortest way of saying it, aren't you?
Have you not watched the slightly older generation type a Google query before? Like my dad, for example, would type in, what is the cheapest kitchen for me to buy, into Google.
And what do we do? Cheapest local kitchens or something like that. We abbreviate it. Whereas that's where obviously different keywords and match types would come into play.
Yeah.
But how do we cater for the whole variety of people there if that's the case?
But
Because I certainly wouldn't search for something that's that long tail
But people do.
on a device.
A 10-year-old that's grown up with a smartphone in 10 years will search completely differently.
Probably so. That's the problem there then. It's not nothing to do with voice, is it? That's something that's going to have to be solved anyway.
But it's voice that's going to change the way people are using search, because it's lowering people's inhibitions, it's making technology more integrated in everyday life. It's taking away the embarrassment of having to talk to a device as if it's a person.
Yeah.
That perception then, whether you're typing it or not, will change the way ultimately that people search.
Yeah.
I don't think it'll
interesting.
ever go completely mental, seeing people walk down the street commanding the devices in that way, because people are a lot more private than that, aren't they? I don't think you'd ever get to that level, to be honest with you. But I imagine you'll start to see it increase, slightly when people start to get a bit more confident. Nobody wants anybody overhearing what they're searching for, do they, while they're on the bus to work?
No. What happens if you do a product-based search query by voice into an Amazon Echo then? If you say, what's the cheapest kitchen for me or something like that, what does Amazon Echo say back to you?
It'll probably recommend, if they haven't got it listed on Amazon.com or the country-specific version, it will say that it doesn't know what you're talking about. Okay. If it's listed on Amazon, it will recommend.
So it will just read you the first Google search result?
I don't think it considers Google at all.
No, okay.
Well, does that sort of present an opportunity for businesses to get more on the skills side of things? So create a skill to deal with queries like this. Obviously, I think localised would be a big thing for that. So if you've got a local kitchen company or something like that, they've got the skills to cope with those.
Domino's has got a skill.
Yeah.
You can order a pizza from your local Domino's without even moving.
Yeah.
Not good for obesity.
I'm going to test that. I'm going to test what happens when you ask for tradesman recommendations in Leeds on Amazon Echo and see what happens.
Going really broad, you've got to think, right, the same way that social media didn't exist 10 years ago, people are going to be wherever the attention is, that's where people are. If people's attention are on search, whatever infrastructure that sits on, voice search, that's where people are going to be. So businesses, marketers, everybody is going to want to be present on that platform, fundamentally.
Yeah. I don't think search the way it is today will, this is a pretty bold statement, I don't think it'll ever die in that sense. I don't think there's any way of describing what you're after well enough in any other way, any other method that I can sort of conceive other than typing it in or voice searching.
I also think that in the future with voice, none of this work, whether or not voice search or dictating to your phone takes off as well as people say, none of the work that people like Amazon and stuff is ever going to go to waste, because when you look at AR and VR, when it comes to interacting with those devices, there's no mouse and keyboard anymore if you've got something covering your face. So you're going to have to operate them somehow, and it's pretty much going to be voice. So any of this work that goes into transcribing your voice into actions, whether it be a search query or whether it be a physical, something else you're saying to it, it's all going to be really, really useful down the line in the tech world. So
I think commercial VR is about 20 years away.
As soon as you can apply VR or AR in the workplace, it'll kick off.
Yeah, well, that'd be a next big shift. Or it could turn into this is going even further ahead of that, and you start to get it already with suggestions in your Google Home and all that kind of thing, based on previous activity. You might just be suggested the right products. It might know you enough based on your your search history or whatever you've done, what interests you have and everything. It might just give you what you need in future, obviously really far down the line, but it might get to you before you get to it.
Well, wasn't that the premise of those smart fridges, that it'd look when you've used all your milk and not put it back in and show you a new one?
Yep.
Back in there.
Yeah,
that's sort of faded away a bit as a fad, hasn't it? But I'm sure there's still ones on the market that do that.
Yeah.
But.
Well,
and then you've got the Amazon Dash buttons, which is essentially, you put an Amazon Dash for your toilet roll next to your toilet, and every time you run out of the toilet, you press that button and there's one there in the day, isn't there?
Yeah.
So that's pretty much the same thing.
They're just selling time, aren't they?
Yeah.
Voice search is going to be quicker. Dash buttons save you going online and doing it. You just push a button. Speed, time.
Yeah, I think that's the underlying thing in it. It's all about speed, whichever way we want to approach it, whether it's speech, whether we're typing it in, whether it's suggested. It's just the speed and accuracy of getting where you need to be.
Interesting conversation.
Yeah, we're so on the topic. But
Yeah.
Alright, well the next topic we're going to be discussing is DoubleClick Search's latest feature, which is it's called adaptive remarketing. So what they've done is they've basically taken traditional remarketing lists and allowed machine learning to update the audiences and the bit modifier across all your campaigns across DoubleClick Search. So it's not yet available in AdWords and it probably won't be for a while, but it's just that next generation of machine learning that they're starting to introduce now.
How does that relate to budget? I presume it's all managed.
Well, no, that's the thing. It's automated. It's getting to that programmatic way of advertising through search now. So as opposed to you going through each campaign and having an audience based on previous performance, DoubleClick's going to do it for you and say this particular audience should be appended to this campaign or ad group, and then the bid will be changed based on historical performance. So it's just an automated way. It's that next generation of remarketing, and there's not been much in terms of remarketing since the inception of it really, and it's always been manual up until this point.
So it's more about being adaptive and being able to jump on it and expand your reach without having to catch a trend or physically expand it yourself.
Yeah, I think that's it. It's trying to take the weight, especially for bigger advertisers, it's trying to take the weight out of manually going through every campaign and seeing which audience works, because as most advertisers will know, it becomes a bit of a hassle managing every audience, testing it observationally and then separating it out, figuring out how it performs for one campaign or ad group. Basically, DoubleClick is saying we're going to make your life easier and take strain off the audience side of things, because that in itself is a job on its own. So it's going to basically look at every single audience that you've got populating in your AdWords account and apply either an increase if somebody is close to conversion for an audience, or they've even got the ability to strip it completely out if it's underperforming.
Is this all available now then, or is this coming soon, or staggering it, or what?
Yeah, I think it's available now. Like I say, it won't be available in AdWords for quite some time. I wouldn't have thought it is only for DS users.
Okay, so the next thing we're going to discuss is Snapchat. So it's still a mystical network, I think, for advertisers, especially. Brands are still trying to figure out how to leverage it. Snapchat are still trying to figure out how to monetize the platform. It's got quite a young demographic, but they're making efforts to improve their discoverability and get a bit more reach by opening the way that people can discover stories. So non-Snapchat users now will be able to visit a link and see a story.
So this is basically just taking a story out of your Snapchat app and then sharing it as a link to anyone.
Yeah, so it's just a web version of a story, basically, taking it out of the app.
That's going to help, like, take your Snapchat story and put it on Twitter, for example.
I imagine that they're thinking broad scale. It'll be embeds across publications and things like that. So where you see a Mashable article with a tweet or a video from Twitter embedded, I think that kind of discoverability is going to...
Yeah, publishers is embedding Instagrams and stuff all the time now, so yeah, it's a pretty big deal, that. Yeah, a lot with now with these apps, these like sort of unicorn apps which come from nowhere and get massive popularity. They build their app presence and don't have any web presence at all, and then sort of just shoehorn it in later.
Well, Instagram's web app has been terrible for ages. They've only just really started to improve it.
Even when they publish one, it's just the app in a big window. It's just like there's no like, extra features or anything. It's quite a strange way around. It's not something that didn't really happen 5-10 years ago. I mean, like Facebook, for example. You always had on the website, weren't you? And then all of a sudden they got an app once, so that's became massive.
Yeah. What do you think Facebook and Insta will do in response to it? Do you think they'll do anything or spin anything out similar, or?
I think Facebook have got it kind of covered because the web version of Facebook is pretty good.
Yeah.
Web version of Twitter is really good. So I don't know whether they'll have to respond, but I think more than Facebook having to respond to that, I think Snapchat have done that as a way of trying to gain coverage against Facebook. So Snapchat have been really closed off. Obviously, Facebook wanted to buy them, they didn't sell. Yeah. So now I think they're trying to open avenues to compete again. Whether it'll work.
Do you not think this might like annoy some of the demographic? Like you get celebrities that use Snapchat because it's quite closed off, isn't it? Obviously, it's historically known for sending photos that you can't save and sending chats that you can't save. So celebrities sort of might think they've got a bit of privacy, and then it's not going to be in Daily Mail's website tomorrow or whatever.
Yep.
Whereas put it on Instagram, obviously it's so easy to share, and everyone's floating around everywhere that it's just put on Instagram, the world can see it basically. But if you put on Snapchat, seems like you know in your audience a little bit, and celebrities might post more intimate stuff, or seems like that might go out window a little bit. So they got to be careful. But like you say,
it's the same old thing though, isn't it? Facebook are transparent about the fact that they generate the majority of their revenue through ads, which means they've got to have the traffic and the attention and the discoverability. Snapchat has been so closed off, and they've been trying to figure out so many different ways to monetize. And I think they're coming to the slow realization that they can't just figure something out. They need to act in the same way as the other networks. They've got the attention, they've built the user base. It's still a prominent platform, but in terms of monetizing it, they're going to have to, at some stage, let marketers or brands capitalize on it. I think up until now it's been more of a personality-based, influencer-based platform.
Yep. I guess it's just not, if your USP platform is literally, it's like disposable broadcasting almost, it's Snapchat, isn't it, with the stories? Or disposable messaging if you're doing one-to-one. And all of a sudden now that might sort of, the disposable aspect of it might sort of, that might be it. I mean, Twitter seems to have wrote that out pretty well with that's a 140 character long messaging service, and all of a sudden it's 280. So the original USP from the whole idea, throw it out a window and keeping your audience and user base and just riding out and not making a difference seems to be, it's possible obviously.
I think it might start to grab the attention of like the older demographic as well. Maybe if they're making noise and they're trying to do other stuff, they've very much been sort of siloed to that younger demographic up until now, haven't they? So if they open up the door to, you know, let's say 30 upwards with this new launch, then obviously that's a good thing for them.
Definitely.
Thanks for watching. If you've got any thoughts, we'd love to hear them. Jump in the comments below or drop us an email or reach out on social, and we'd be happy to talk about anything in a bit more detail.
Thanks.
I'm hotter than the sun, the actual sun.
Jeez, fucking red hot, yeah.
Yeah, I've got a jumper on. Have you got no underneath?
No, what the heck? Kidding me? That would just be fucking torture, wouldn't it?